Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10 in Shenzhen, China. Look at that. More beautiful high-rises and, of course, lots of rivers.
That wasn't a high-rise.
There were. Yeah, there were. Are you kidding?
That wasn't a 600-meter high-rise.
What?
That wasn't a 600-meter set of high-rise buildings.
Okay, but it's still a high-rise. It's more than
that
what,
shot
like
was more of a scenic pond, more than high-rise shot.
All right,
I like my skyscrapers, and that wasn't one.
All right, my bad. I'll make sure to brush up on my classifications of skyscrapers at how many meters exactly you draw that line, Sean, just for you, just so I can.
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm here just to make everyone's day harder or more fun. It depends on which way you want to look at it.
I can go both ways at the same time. I appreciate it.
I don't have to do anything this time. I mean, I just turn up and cast, you know? So I'm just like having fun and making jokes and...
Easy life, man.
Easy life.
Why did you ever leave this lifestyle?
I know, like,
sure, right?
I just want to be like Artosis and Rotterdam.
After he tried it once, he was like, I can't do it anymore. I'll leave it to Chover. And he's now out here just goofing around, making my life harder. I see how it is. It's all right.
It's because I had to host and I had people like in control making my life so very difficult. And I'm on the other side. I'm like, that's not a city. That's a village.
All right, fair point. It did look a little bit more like a village. But Pig, nice to have you here too. I'm really glad you're here at the very least. Hopefully,
it's great.
Thanks,
I can add
some
professionalism to the banter desk.
You've got your tie on. You've got your white shirt on.
Yeah.
You've got your tie ready. I'm very happy to see that because we are ready to go into a little bit more serious business, Sean. It's time to look at the favorites.
Me.
The favorites here. Yeah, we got to make sure you're in line. We are ready to talk about, more than one favorite here in Group B. We have two, probably, you would say, for the whole tournament in Group B in the names, of course, Rain, who we're about to see on the main stage. And then we have Classic also in Group B. And then I think for a lot of guys who are watching, maybe in the wee hours over in Europe, of course, Snute. It's looking a little bit tough. But there's a lot of hopes riding on him.
I mean, there's a lot of hopes running on, but let's all be honest here. It feels like the StarCraft gods have looked down upon our community and said, it's time to offer one of the best Europeans to the Koreans. And they've put him on a platter where he's in a group where he's not meant to make it out. Like, it's that simple.
But then if he rises out, it's just like the biggest rebellion against the StarCraft gods. Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, it'd be like a Christian story, where the Koreans in this particular weird story.
Are we sure we want to go to the details?
They kill Snute, but Snute is like Jesus and returns to life. Because I actually believe, despite a lot of people not thinking this, I think he's going to go through, Chobra.
Just because
probably the worst example I could have gave.
Yeah, just because Pig was talking about the stage looking like
I'm sorry.
World War I does not mean we have to go deeper into there. But I did want to update you guys. Of course, Classic already played that first match in Group B off stage, taking Yonghua down 2-0. So he moves on to the winners match. Yonghua will be waiting down there in the elimination match to find out who he gets to play between Snute versus Rain. So do you think it's going to be Snute or do you think it's going to be Rain?
I think Snute can get out in second place with an upset over Classic.
Ooh. Wait, okay, so I see how that works out. All right,
I think Rain's going through in first place no matter what.
Right, yeah.
And then I think he can squeeze out versus Classic.
Yeah, I was like looking at Snute going on to the winners match. I was like, wait, that doesn't work out. But I got you.
I got to zip quiet, man. I don't think you said anything while being up here. I'm sorry.
Pig's just lost it at this place.
I'm just chilling,
goofballs.
Man. I'm like, I'm the guy that stands next to a polo. I can straighten your shirt a little bit every now and then.
I feel for you.
Maybe
it's
talk
a tough
about
weekend.
how Classic can take Rain down.
He looks like the guy my parents wanted me to look like, and I turned out like this.
Well, hopefully they're not watching the stream now then, because this is a pretty distinct comparison with you two standing right there. But let's talk about the match coming up on stage. We talked briefly about Classic. Of course, we'll get to see him later on in the winners match. But who's going to go up against him? Rain versus Snute. Now, Rain, we talked about him even in Group A when we looked at the whole round of 16. He is looking super strong right now. Overall, worldwide, I think everyone agrees.
He's so scary. Playing against a guy like Rain is so hard. But, of course, he's going to be going up against Snute. And really, Snute's been having a hard time this year. He was so good last year, so close to getting to BlizzCon. He's been the foreign hope for a while. He's been that guy who can go into a stacked tournament, kill so many of the top players, but he's been having a tough time lately. The Swarm modes got taken away, and this matchup specifically, he has been very vocal about his issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, he started the year pretty good, and he definitely was a contender to play at BlizzCon, and it's something we haven't really talked about with the players that are here, but he just dropped off mid-year here, Season 2. He couldn't qualify for top 16 in WCS. He started losing a lot. Obviously, as you've mentioned, is the change with the Swarmos affected his Zerg versus Protoss heavily. Like, he dropped 20% in win rate, which is massive.
That's pretty huge.
It's like, it's a massive drop, and he's still suffering, and he hasn't quite recovered and found his way. But the one advantage he does have coming into this tournament is that he has been in Korea over the last week or so, week and a half. It's not a big advantage, but it's an advantage nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you adjust kind of culturally. Climate's fairly similar and whatnot. You're playing against some of those guys in Korea. Of course, Rain, kind of the highlight in Korea right now and worldwide. I mean, he's had quite a few recent back-to-back championships under his belt and quite a few before that in the past.
Yeah.
And still looking strong.
Rain had a bit of a weird period in his career where he started to drop down a little bit, and everyone was like, what happened to Rain?
Yeah.
But then he like went straight back to the top, and he's on top of the world again. It's great to see him up there.
It's kind of funny because he himself would make jokes like, oh, I'm one of the washed up guys, haha.
Yeah.
Me and SOS, we haven't won a championship. And if you actually look at his results, you're looking through that period, there's still like a top 8 GSL, you know, multiple top 16s, he's got a top 4, and you're like, really? This is when you're washed up? Like, that's the caliber of player that Rain is. Like, he's like, oh, didn't win anything for the last few months. I'm really bad now.
That's what happens when you live in Korea, because everyone only remembers #1. It's like you suddenly become a memory in everyone's brain. But that's not the case right now. He does have those back-to-back championships coming in. Of course, recently also at Home Story Cup. And then now he's here looking to try to take that win, secure a spot in the championships of the IntelliStream Masters in Katowice next year. So it will be Snute versus Rain going in here in match number 2 of Group B. And to bring us awesome game, finally they get to just geek out over all these Protosses. It's going to be Rotterdam and Artosis.
Best race, Roddy. We get to watch it. I can't wait. If these guys have equal skill as TY, they should be taking down the tournament.
Absolutely. I think two worlds are going to collide on Coda for our first Protoss of the day. It's going to be an awesome series. Our very own Jens Snute, who had such a great run in India Extreme Masters Season 9. Not at one stop, not at two stops, but at multiple stops. Snute went so deep. I said snobs instead of stops. It's kind of like a mix between stops and Snute. It's kind of cool. Anyways, I'm super curious to see if Snute can go all the way once more. You know, he had so many great performances in Season 9. And is he going to be able to continue that trend? Like Pig said, it's been a rough year for him. But, well, he's over here. Artie McTosis in the right bottom side of Coda, representing Team Liquid. It is Snute.
Indeed. A fantastic European player, Roddy McTosis. And his opponent, of course. It would take me too long to say everything he's done. In the top left, our Protoss player, it is Rain. Of course, on My Insanity nowadays. What a great pickup. The champion of GSL Code S, the champion of Home Story Cup 11, I believe it was. I mean, this guy is so unstoppable right now. I have to ask you, Roddy, is this guy the best player in the world?
I think it's always hard to just say single-handedly that he's the best player in the world. Like, you know, if you put him right now in a group with Live and Dream and Maru, am I sure that he's going to crush it? No, I'm not 100% sure.
You're
but
not sure of that?
No, not sure of it.
I mean, he just crushed Biol and he just crushed like 8
but
Terrans in a row,
is
including Maru, right? So that's 2 of them.
I know, but that was a rough series between Rain and Maru, right? Like, it was a close call. I mean, like, Rain is... I mean, I've been the biggest fan of Rain for, like, you know, 3 years by now, and I've been a big fanboy. I think a lot of people know that. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely put him up there, but is he the absolute undisputed best player in the world? Like, that's, you know, it's up for discussion.
Okay, so here's my next question, right? Alrighty. He just won GSL Code S.
Yes.
He just won Home Story Cup. Now he's in IEM Shenzhen. If he wins this tournament, can we call him the Zerg Banjo?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Just checking.
I was like, where is he going to go with this? Can we call him the best Protoss in the world? And then he's just like, no. Can we call him the Zerg? And I was like, okay, Artie McTosis. Well, interesting opening, by the way, as he went for the pilot on the low ground, followed with the gate on the low ground as well. This is like, if you can get early put, I think this is kind of hard to defend as Protoss, because you will be forced to pull a lot of probes very far away from your mineral lines. And if your gateway gets on power, then often the Shrektening will occur. And
Indeed.
It's not pleasant.
You can't lose that pylon, but it's like kind of the more greedy version of gateway on top of your ramp that everyone was liking, so... well, you know, he's just kind of pushing it forward. It's been a little bit popular in Korea recently as
Is
well.
it? I think the other version is more greedy though, because now your like probe has to go to the ramp as well to build all the buildings there. Well, if you build it in your main base, there's like less travel for your probe to do. Your wall is just a lot later, but I think.
Okay, I see what you're saying about that, but it's.
I think Nexus
right.
first on the low ground into gate in your main is the most greedy way that Protoss could possibly play.
Well, gate in the main, not at the ramp, definitely.
Yeah. Alrighty, Mothership Core is going to be the follow-up now. They already mentioned it a little bit at the desk. Snute has not been too happy with ZVP. He's been struggling a little bit in the matchup. And for the people who don't watch StarCraft 24/7, it's like, well, I thought Snute was really good against Protoss. He was for a while, but then there was this sudden change to this unit called the Swarm Host. And right now, I think it's safe to say that it became a little less popular in this matchup. And it has hurt the win rates of many Zerg players out there, including Snute.
Indeed, and you know, Snute really known for kind of relying on the Storm Host. This is one thing I was really wondering about when they announced what the changes would actually be, is could Snute keep up? And the thing is, here he is. He went through the European qualifier. He's definitely still a top European, but I'm not looking at him in the same way as, let's say, that last Toronto IEM, right, where he's going toe-to-toe with CJ Hero. I don't think he's going to do that here.
No, and I think in Intel Extreme Masters San Jose as well, where he was also up 2-0 against CJ Hero, and then Hero came back, still won the series 3-2, still ended up winning that tournament as well, as that completed the trivia that Apollo was on before. I do agree with you, but I always want to believe in Snute as well. He's just one of these guys. He's so likable to cheer for, you know. You just want Snute to do well, and in a weird way, whenever Snute does well, it's like, yeah, I did really well this tournament, and you know, my performance has absolutely nothing to do with Snute's performance, but it just kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting build over here by Rain as he opens up with 3 gates, very, very conservative, and a very late Stargate. Now, I would never question my Protoss hero Rain himself. But I'm not actually a huge fan of these kind of builds. I just feel like it's so late for any Stargate unit to arrive. But I guess this is just like Rain being like, hey, I am so incredibly good at this game.
Yeah.
If nothing crazy happens, I'm going to win it. And I guess that's just the way he's approaching this.
That is Rain really in a nutshell, Roddy, I have to say. Like, this guy, he just wants to play safe. He realizes, okay, you know what? If I go in this order, I can't die. And look at all these Zerglings that are being made. If he had gone Stargate into the gates, this would be a little bit harder to hold, I think. But in this case, I don't think that these Zerglings will do anything at all to him.
Well, I mean, I think Rain got a little bit unfortunate with his scouting guy. I think he's going to warp in his Nexus. He's going to end up losing it immediately. That's kind of nice. Lose the pylon as well. Snute should be able to get the probe. One more pylon. Come on, Snute. Don't let it go up too late. He pretty much has to go for it right here, right now. I think this is absolutely perfect timing for Snute. He's done his homework.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly there. Having to cancel 2 pylons as well as that Nexus, losing the probe also. That's really going to slow Rain down, but he already has his 3 gates, so it won't be too long before he can get that Nexus up.
True, but I mean, Snute can try to do it all over again. He's going to drop a little bit of creep as well. I'm loving this. Sentries were coming out, trying to take care of that Overlord, but now the sentries are caught up. He picks up the probe again, and as a Protoss, there's nothing more annoying than a bunch of Lings running around, sniping the probe that's supposed to drop the Nexus over and over again.
Indeed, that is the case, but in the meantime, we do have a counterattack here, a counter-harassment at least, with this Oracle. Already 4 drones going down. A little bit of miss micro there. Definitely could have gotten 1 or 2 more, but still, 4 drones, not too bad.
Not too bad, but it also could have been a lot worse for Snute. When you don't have a Spore Crawler up and you only have a single Queen, I've seen, you know, instances even at very high level StarCraft. I'm not talking about my own horrific ladder games over here, where those Oracles get like 9 or 10 drone kills, so not too bad for Snute. I think he's quite alright with it.
Yeah, I would say so. Well enough defended so far. He is going for quite a few Hydras at the moment. In the meantime, some more drones being picked off here. So, you know, trading that out for 8 workers, not too bad. But right now we do have Rain starting that 3rd Nexus again, going into Blink, getting his attack upgrades as well. So he's just going to have to make sure he has enough units here for any Hydraling attacks that may be coming.
Yeah, Snute is on 49 drones, so this is basically an all-in. And I know it's weird to call it an all-in because he's in 3 hatcheries, right? But if these Hydras do not take care of all of these sentries and do not take care of this Nexus, if a Protoss is on the same amount of bases as the Zerg player, and you're up a bunch of workers as well, that's really good. But I love this engagement, I think, by Snute. A couple of Hydras are still participating in this battle. This was a really good engagement for Snute.
That was fantastic.
Oh my God, he's
Rain
getting all the
walked right
sentries.
into that. He loses absolutely everything, and Dude, Snute is going to take this game.
He should. I mean, it's 62 army supply against 14. Like, Rain is a god amongst Protoss men, but 62 army supply against 14. I have no idea how he's supposed to save this. He's supposed to, I think he has to cancel this Nexus, give up on the gateway and the pylons, and just go back to being a 2-base Protoss.
Yeah, well, he already lost his sentry, so even if he does that, I see so few ways out of this. He's trying to micro right now, going to have to cancel that Nexus. He does indeed. But I mean, I think the only thing left for him here is a 2-base Blink +2 all in. That's it, and Snute should be able to defend it knowing that's all he can do.
And I mean, this all started with the Zerglings taking care of those destructible rocks, right? He took care of those rocks, and Rangers did not expect Lings to arrive from that position. Normally, you're safe with your sentries there, because you just drop a couple of force fields on the ramp, like he tried to zone out the Hydras, as these Stalkers are going to get picked off as well. Snute all over game one. Did he play risky? Yeah, a little bit. Made a lot of Lings early on, made a big follow-up with the Ling Hydra, but was it well executed? Hell yeah.
Oh, certainly it was. I love how you point out taking down those rocks with the Lings really caught Rain off guard, and I think that's what you need to beat Rain. You know, this guy definitely a contender for best player in the world at the moment. You have to mix some stuff like that in. So very smart, very excellent play from Snute here in this first game.
Yep, I mean, Rain is going to try to hang in there a little bit longer. He has 1,400 minerals, and nobody wants to tap out of a tournament game with 1,400 minerals. And, you know, in all honesty, I've seen Rain win a 25-minute game on 2 bases just the other day against Saxtree at Homestead Cup final. Now, that was Dash Terminal, and that was actually kind of planned all along, even though it wasn't planned to go on for that long. You know, he was kind of setting himself up for a 2-base attack, and this is, of course, a completely different game. But as long as Rain has money, he's not going to go away from this game. He's going to try to just do the same thing all over again. It's not a comfortable position, but, you know.
Yeah, I see that he's deciding to take this third Nexus and go for +3 attack, which I think is fine because, like, attacking off 2-base now, you're never going to kill him. Maybe Snute doesn't tech up. Maybe he just keeps attacking with layer tech and Rain can pull off a victory there. But as we see on that production tab, Hive is on the way. And I mean, as those Hive tech units come out, as he grabs a couple of Vipers and whatnot, it's going to be so difficult for Rain to hold on.
I mean, that should truly be all that Snute needs. A couple of Blinding Clouds just to make sure that you just can't sit behind the force fields forever, and then a single Guardian Shield and a couple of force fields won't keep your Protoss army safe. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about for Snute is that he's definitely lacking or slacking in the upgrade department. +1 missile attacks is about to finish up, but you know, look at Rain, +3 is halfway done. And then sometimes army supply tabs can be a little bit deceiving.
Well, let's see what Rain can do here as far as the defense goes. I like how he's starting out in the middle. He needs as much room as possible to be able to run backwards from those blinding clouds. And we do have Snute starting to move forward now. He does have a lot of force fields to use, so puts down a nice line right there. The Lings coming in from another side, a flank coming in from Snute. But so far, so good for Rain. Some good defense.
Yeah, didn't really lose a whole lot yet. He's down 50 army supply, but +3 is finishing up. So we're looking at a lot of force fields and +3 Blink Stalkers soon. He's warping in a couple of Zealots, and I don't really like that. I know they help out a little bit against the Lynx, but I kind of feel like a Zealot is the last unit you ever want to make against an army that mostly relies on Roach Hydra.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess he just needs to make whatever he can afford at this point. And here we go. Looks like Snute will attack in once again. Some good force fields going down. Not too much damage dealt to Rain quite yet. Good blinding cloud goes down, but you know what? The force fields are good enough that Rain is holding once again.
Yeah, I really love the whole position there by Rain. He makes that look so easy, but it's actually not all that easy. But if you just attack move, then your Stalkers will derp, and they will keep running into this Roach Hydra force of Snute. So how many forces do we have left? Maybe 4 or 5. There isn't really all that much more. But Rain is just landing squeeze the right amount of units through, so he can pick them off very easily, and it still hurts Snute, as Snute is actually forced to disengage right here.
Yeah, look at that. The supply is getting a lot more even at this point. We do have most of the sentries dead, so that is a big part of this game to look at. We might have Rain do something like make a whole lot of Stalkers and go at this point, but no. Starting to pull back and make a robo.
Snute doesn't have a 4th hatchery, and this really bothers me because I feel like he could have squeezed it in quite a while ago. I really feel like he needs that 7 and 8 gas, especially now he started making Vipers as well. He's still trying to get upgrades going from double evolution chamber even, but he's so low in the gas department over and over again, and I feel that forces him to make units like Zerglings and maybe a few more Roaches than he would have really liked to.
Well, let's see here.
Yeah, he's getting it now, but I'm worried, man. It really felt like this was almost a default win for Snute. 62 army supply against 15 it was in a certain phase in the game. But now suddenly things are starting to look quite all right for the reigning GSL and Homestoric champ.
Reigning, I see what you did there. No, I mean, Rain, he's just showing his ridiculous power here. The fact that he is still alive and in fact starting to push across the map a bit. But Snute coming up with what could be a flank. No, looks like he does draw back for now. Rain really on top of his positioning here.
Yeah, so good with that with that. Yeah, well, how do you say, the whole position micro that Rain was showing us a little bit before. It looks so silly because it looks very easy, but whenever I do it, like either none of my army fights or everything starts fighting again and they just keep derping and I get really mad at myself. Snute is going to try his luck one more time over here. Has +2 this time, so his Hydra is doing slightly more damage. I kind of like the Blinding Clouds, and this time a lot more Hydras are fighting though.
Yeah, well, he does blink forward there into the Hydralisk, but those Blinding Clouds over on the left doing a great job right now. And despite very nice force fields, Snute is killing off a lot of units here. The sentries all starting to fall, but more Stalkers are blinked in. Looks like Rain should live once again.
It's a much better fight for Snute though. I do think indeed that Rain is going to live, even though reinforcements are arriving for Snute, a couple circlings. A lot of these Stalkers are starting to run really low on HP, but I do think Rain is indeed going to survive to fight another day. But this was a much better fight for Snute than the previous one.
Oh, certainly. And I think that this is the point where Snute just continually making units is going to be very tough for Rain. He can't just keep re-adding sentries at this point. He's made a lot of Stalkers. He's got good upgrades. He's got great micro. But is that going to be enough to push across creep against the Snute with a lot of Speedlings, a lot of Hydras, some Vipers, and he's even making an Infestor?
The accidental Infestor, or?
Oh, I think it's on purpose. I love, you put a Blinding Cloud down and a Fungal.
Yeah.
You know how silly that is?
No, of course, it's a great combination. And Snute is actually very good in using both those spellcasters at the same time. I've casted some ridiculous game where he was playing with just Queens, Infestors, and Vipers against Terrans, and he's doing it very well. What I really like the most is that that fourth hatchery is really starting to matter so much more now. A couple of sentries have been warped in again, but even if they use all their energy now, you warp them in, they only have 50 energy. We're not looking at sentries anymore that have 200 energy, and he just forced Rain to use quite a few of those force fields already. So I think the next attack, you know, all those sentries, I'm not going to say that they're useless, but they're not going to be able to contribute a whole lot to the battle.
Yeah, they aren't useless, but they're not too useful either. We'll see. It looks like he's going to start with his Stalkers. Oh, those Vipers get away just in the nick of time here. Now he is backing up, losing a few Stalkers on the way. We're going to have to see his force fields come down in a matter of seconds. There they are, but the Hydras pushing through a little bit. Those Zealots coming up, they will be erased in a matter of seconds. And once again, all the sentries going to fall.
A ridiculous amount of sentries have died throughout the entirety of this game. I actually don't even know how many sentries have died. It's just too much gas. Snute again knocking on the wall of Rain. Rain, of course, his main base is completely mined out, and even his natural is starting to run really dry because he was over mining of that base for a while when he couldn't take his third base yet. So Snute, you know, it started to look very dicey a couple minutes ago, but that last fight really swung things in his favor again.
It certainly did, and he is pushing now on two fronts right now.
The
Some
probes are
Hydras
being
holding back off the probes and the Stalkers. It looks like the rest of the Hydra's gonna come down. This should be the final battle, right? I don't think Rain can really hold on any longer.
There is your fungal. That's the GG fungal, the money fungal like in the old days, Hardy McDoses.
And oh, beautiful it was. So many Stalkers falling down, Lings coming in, reinforcements from all over the map on Snute. And Rain he doesn't have any gas left. Not any minerals left either.
And the cannons are on powered as well on his third base. GG is called. Snute wins game number 1 against the reigning GSL and Homestoric Cup champ. Wasn't easy, because I kind of felt that Snute probably thought he had this game in the bag, and then at a certain point, he's probably started shaking his head. He's like, what the hell's going on? Why am I losing this game?
Seriously, how did Rain really start fighting back there? Just perfect positioning, as you said, that whole position micro. Really hard to actually pull off in the heat of battle, but he did so perfectly. But you know what? That's a win. And if Snute can pull one more out, and there's a lot of different various strategies he could use to try to do that, then Rain would get knocked down into a very hard loser bracket.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be PvP. It's going to be madness. Yonghua is waiting for the loser of this series in the lower bracket match over here. Group B at the Intel Extreme Masters, Shenzhen. Obviously, you know, it's no man overboard yet for Rain. I believe that he was losing the first game against Snute as well, the Home Story Cup, but then he bounced back and he did actually knock Snute out 2-0 in that lower bracket match that they played back then. Either way, we're gonna head over to a very short break, and after that we'll be back with game number 2 between Liquid Snute and My Insanity's Rain.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Season 10 opener in beautiful Shenzhen, China. We are having a great time so far, Roddy, on the first day of broadcasting, the first day of groups. We finished up Group A, having TY and Losira move through to the bracket. And now we have Snute, kind of with that upset game, over Rain, the reigning champion of Home Story Cup and GSL Code S.
I mean, IEM has kind of always been Snoot's playground. He's never won one, but he came so close, and he had so many good runs, and he had so many ridiculously amazing victories over players that we really didn't thought he was able to beat. Would be awesome for Snute to just, have another great run over here. He's been staying in Korea a little bit. He's been practicing in Korea, living with Jinro.
Yeah, and I think he was with the MVP team for a few days as well. So, I mean, that's some legit practice playing in that Korean server at all. So, hopefully he's learned some new tricks from it, especially against Protoss. We did see some strong play in that last game.
Yeah, the timings were just great. Impeccable timings, honestly.
Well, it looks like we're getting into game number 2 up here in the top right. Stealing that game number 1 from Rain with some great play. It is Liquid Snute.
And over here on the left bottom side of Iron Fortress, a man who perhaps almost forgot what losing felt like, but he's down 0-1 in this series. It is Rain. Of course, representing My Insanity.
Indeed, a great pickup for them.
He's a really funny guy. Whenever I see Rain, ever since he won GSL, every single time I greet him, I was like, "Hi, champ," and then he always laughs kind of shy at me. He's like, "Hello, hello."
This guy has quite a few titles under his belt nowadays. I think he's going to get more and more, especially since My Insanity is helping him to fly around the world and hit a lot more of these tournaments.
Yeah, he has never won an Intel Extreme Masters. Game so close last year in San Jose. I played a phenomenal final against Hero, but in the end it wasn't enough. But he played very good, and it was a very fun journey. And I think, if Rain actually makes it to 4 or 5 IEMs this year, I can't imagine him not winning one.
Yeah, of course. I have to totally agree with you. He's in as good of shape as he's ever been in, and this is a guy that, every Protoss has to study.
Yeah.
You just have to. He is required reading for Protoss because he is one of the guys that really figures out the ins and outs of the metagame, the ins and outs of build orders, and the right way, quote unquote, to play the race.
It's really funny because Rain has been my favorite Protoss player to watch for a couple of years now already. But I play completely different than him because I just can't do what he does. It's just like, I look at it and I know it all makes sense and I admire it. And then at the same time, I'm just like, I'm not even going to try Rain. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, I've basically modeled all of my play off of him. He's been just fantastic. I mean, he had that little downturn for a little bit where we're all like, okay, CJ Hero is the best Protoss right now. But Rain come back strong. I would actually love to see those two hit each other.
Yeah, revenge mess, man.
Yeah.
IEM San Jose rematch. Cool opening over here by Rain. He went Nexus first on the low ground into Gateway in his main. That's kind of the opening I mentioned before on Coda. I think this is the absolute greediest version of Protoss.
Yes.
He didn't even scout as well. He's scouting now, but it was pretty damn late. Rain is that type of guy that can walk up to girls in a bar and say, "I too like to live dangerously." I go Nexus first, no scout on Iron Fortress. What you think about that, baby girl?
You know what? It sounds to me like he's been studying Roddy builds here, to be honest. It's not the other way around. But yeah, I mean, this is as greedy as a build you ever see. It's actually very rare to see a build quite this greedy, but I think he's kind of chosen his build wisely for this map. What are the odds for Snute to go 6 pool here?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a player like Lucera might worth something like that, but Snute maybe not as much.
I mean, Iron Fortress is a tricky map as Protoss. No matter if you're Rain or not, this is not the most Protoss-friendly map out there. I'm not talking about that massive Zerg logo in the middle of the map. I'm more just talking about how difficult it is to go up to 3 bases at Protoss. Yes, every Protoss right now loves the Sentry Blink Stalker style, and I'm not saying it's awful on this map, but it's not great. There will, most of the time, there will be a moment where Zerg players can find your sentries exposed when they're in transit between your natural and your third base.
Do you think there's any... Oh, I was just going to say, do you think there's any chance he'll mix in a cheese here because it is Iron Fortress? But before I could, the Robo came down. And that is not for an immortal third base.
Yeah, could be maybe a quick Warp Prism with some 4-gate harass and then saving Immortals up at home and then following it up with a second wave of basically a lot of Stalkers. Could be Blink as well, still on 2 bases. Then it's going to hit a little bit later, but also a lot harder. Oh, this could be a massive scout. Little Zergling!
Oh, man. Rain letting that Zergling in. That's actually a giant deal. The fact that he has seen that Robo this early means that Rain could switch this up in any which way. Like, he actually could go take a third now because of that.
Normally, as a Protoss player, you don't have a robotics facility finishing up at the 6-minute mark. That is a massive commitment. There we do have that Warp Prism as the start. That's kind of what I expected. It's a really good way to slow the Zerg down and force out some units early on. Maybe if you can get lucky, you can get a couple Queens here and there. I actually have a buddy from Denmark, and he's been doing this build a lot, and I think he said he copied it from either Classic or someone else. But it's basically just, you be annoying with your Prism, while at home you try to go up to Blink Stalkers and a couple of Immortals. So now you keep the Zerg busy and then you march across the map with a very strong army.
Well, he's picking up, oh, that's an interesting little cargo payload right there. Couple sentries, a Stalker and a Probe. Well, you know, it's what he has.
The Probe is really weird. Is he going to drop the Probe on the left top side of the map for a hidden base?
I would love that. That would be really cool. You know, you get your Robo scouted. Why not?
Oh, man, what a guy.
Oh, Dark Shrine. I love it. Of course, Dark Shrine, one of those buildings that you just don't need powered. So.
That is really sick.
Yeah. Man, I'm liking it. Because that is something that just won't get scouted. There's no way you're going to scout that. Of course, for those of you that are looking that confused, turn the Warp Prism into the powering phase,
shift mode, phase
shift, whatever it's called. Blue disc underneath, can't move, can warp in Zealots mode, and then you drop your probe and do that. But that's a really clever move there. So we'll see if that ends up working out. Nice, nice drop off there. Nice warp-ins, trapping the Queen with 1 force field. And this is already a pretty decent harassment.
Yeah, has to be careful with the Warp Prism, though. You don't want to take too much damage on your Warp Prism. Oh my god, it's so close. Playing with fire.
Yeah, seriously. If he had lost that Warp Prism, suddenly this is such a worse build. Yep. You need to have that. But he's taking so much damage, he has to be very careful with it from now on.
He's going up to 3 bases, and that's kind of cool. Snute has absolutely no detection on the map, by the way. There's not a single Spore Crawl. Well, actually, no. There are 3 Spore Crawls down. Snute has a Spore in every base. Wow. What a guy.
Well, that's actually pretty impressive, but maybe he's throwing that down, giving a nod towards the fact that he scouted this tech and the Immortal Push is much less likely behind that. So a smart move nonetheless.
He's going to be very pleased with that. Of course, if 3 Dark Templars run into that Spore Crawler, there's still a chance that they can take out the Spore, and then Snute is going to end up losing a lot of Lings and Hydras. Snute is committing to his counterattack on the other side of the map, and this is a very unfortunate moment, because here come those DTs, and that Spore Crawler is indeed going to go down almost. Well, no, transfuse.
Yeah,
transfuse again.
That's a lot of transfuses, just keeping them attacking that for a while. It gives more time for his Overseer, but at the meantime, we do have a counterattack there. It forces a cancel on the third base of Rain. Very nicely done by Snute.
Yeah, Rain with a lot of money right now in the bank. That's not a very comfortable position to be in. Snute kills both Dark Templars. In the end, I think he only ended up losing 2 Queens there. Didn't really end up losing a whole lot of drones. There were no Dark Templars in other places either. Man, Snute is playing so well so far.
He is. He's got a lot of great moves. He's doing great on his scouting, on his counters. I mean, even his predictions to have a Spore in each base. Are you kidding me? If he didn't have a Spore there, he loses the hatchery.
Yeah. He loses the game. He's going to lose a bunch of drones. It's absolutely game over. Zergling's looking for an opening, not going to get one yet. This is definitely, you know, not game over by any means. I mean, Rain is still up 8 workers, and that is great. It is just very frustrating that he's sitting on 60 pros split over 2 bases.
Yeah. That is pretty rough. He has a lot of energy on these sentries, so he might be all right for a little while here, but a lot of units still being created by Snute. He's going to be rallying those across the map as well.
Well, just a couple.
Yeah. Well, he's going to lose 2 sentries from that, which is pretty nice. More and more Ling's going to be able to get in here now that they've killed off that pylon. Coming from behind. And he should be able to kill all this off now.
Well, this is going to be annoying, man. He lost the Mothership Core as well. He needs a couple of Zealots or Dark Templars in his main base before he ends up losing too many probes there. In the end, indeed, he will clean it up. But I think this was all right for Snute. I think he's really slowing Rain down a lot over here. Yeah. He has killed a couple of sentries. He killed the Mothership Core. That's a lot of gas. He's getting more and more probes. He's interrupting all this mining time. Snute is making plays.
Well, right, that's what he needs to make to beat the champion of GSL right here. So continued to do a fantastic job. Rain coming back to mine once again.
Sentry, that's another one, a cheeky one. If these Hydras can take care of these cannons, that would be really nice.
It's a little bit soft to do that right now, but more and more units coming in right now. These gates not even powered at the moment. He doesn't really have the firepower to bust out against this. You know, you walk out there, you're going to lose quite a few sentries, I think.
Yeah, Rain basically only on 5 gateways right now. He's going to warp in 3 more gates in his main, but 5 gates, that's not a whole lot of production. He's still up in workers. Look at the circle, he's getting the wraparound. There's no Mothership Core, there's no potent overcharge. Well, the Zealots are actually going to help out a lot over here, but I like how this is going very much for Snute.
Yeah, Snute is looking like he's going to just take this game, Rotterdam. I mean, it looks pretty fantastic for him right now. Rain is going to have a hard time fighting back. Right now, as far as units goes, yeah, he still has 4 sentries. He's making a bunch of gates, so if he gets to spend his money, he might have a shot, but Snute has a pretty strong lead.
Yeah, and Rain has zero probes in that third base. Some people may just tune in and be like, well, he's on 3 bases, and Snute is like, no economy, but Rain has no workers in the third base. The Mothership Core is just going to go down again immediately. All the sentries are going to go down as well. There's nothing left but a bunch of stalkers. I know this is just the first series in this group, but what a massive victory for Snute.
That is pretty sick, man. 2-0ing Rain, who just knocked him out of Home Story Cup 11. That is a big deal. That is a big, big deal. And to be in that winner's match, I mean, Rain right now has to be like, oh my God, he has to go through like either Snute again or PvPs from some of the best Protoss in the world. And that is a tough road for that man.
Yeah, man, I'm very impressed with the way that Snute played. Having the spores up over here as well. He never spotted the Dark Shrine. He had no idea if that was a possibility. Maybe he was scared that those Oracles did slightly more than they should have done, you know, in the previous game. And he's like, you know what, I'll just get up a spore. But, you know, what a great call. And just great play, never-ending pressure. And I think game number 1, it felt so good for Snute to win it, because he almost won it already in the start. And then suddenly that game got a lot closer than it ever should have been. But then still closing it out in the end. That's such a roller coaster of emotions, but it feels so good in the end, because you're like, I know I was supposed to win this game, and now at least I still did.
Indeed. Well, we do have Snute at the desk, so guys, let's hear how he's feeling.
We will indeed. Welcome back to the desk, everyone. And congratulations, Snute. You are now GSL champion. How does it feel to be at the top of the world?
Wait, congratulations, congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, going.
It's okay, I guess.
Yeah, you know, no big deal. It's just all right. It's all right being the best.
That's what he did when he came on. He's like,
yeah, well.
He's like, no, I didn't.
going 2-0 against Rain. I mean, Rain is one of the players that everyone's been talking about coming into the Intel Extreme Masters. They're saying, well, GSL champion, Home Story Cup. He looks like he's at the best he's been in the last couple of years. You just calling her like 2-0, no problem, winner's match against Classic. I mean, were you worried at all, especially after that first map? I mean, the first map seemed to feel pretty good for you.
Yeah, it felt pretty good, but it was really difficult to finish him off.
Yeah.
Because Protoss has so many good defensive tools. I just kept getting force fielded forever. Then there was the Photon overcharge. It's like, if you want to kill Protoss, there's 12 layers of defense that you need to break. Even if you kind of won the game by a successful opening, it's still, it's such a hassle to close it out. And I was very impressed by his defense in, you know, given the position that I put him in early on. And that scared me a little bit for the second map. But after that first map, his opening in the second game didn't seem as refined as in the first one.
Right on. I mean, gentlemen, you can ask some great questions too, but after hearing that, I can't help but think playing against Protoss when you're in the lead is like peeling an onion. Just like go through layer after layer, you got tears coming down your cheeks, but you're like, I still gotta get through it. And then, like eventually you chop up the onion, but you just got tears like all over your face.
At least when you play against Terran, you can really feel it. Like you can feel this drive inside. Like, yeah, I'm really close to closing things out, and even then you have the muta advantage coming over time. But versus Protoss, it just keeps coming. You know, it's more force fields, and then the High Templars come, and then the Storm comes, and the onion just intensifies. And you just cry.
I've been in StarCraft, what, for 5 years or more now, StarCraft 2, and not even the great Artosis could have made that kind of comparison. William Chobra comes back to StarCraft 2 in 2015 and pulls that out.
I've been chopping a lot of
My
money
guess
during the
is that
past.
Chobra has been playing some Zerg versus Protoss.
Yeah?
Maybe, yeah.
You been feeling the pain?
Yeah, actually, maybe that's what it was. I've been watching a lot because I've been interested in picking up Zerg, but every time I pick up Zerg, I'm like, I can't do it. Too many queens, like all this macro. I'm like, I can't do it. I climbed when I first got Winds of Winter. I climbed ladder by simply making Marines. That's what I did. So that's the level I'm at when I play. It's very different when I watch. We'll keep that there, though. We'll keep that buried for now.
I'm pretty good at building Marines too, Chobra. I got a question for you. So, not so much about that series, but I mean, you traveled over to Korea, what, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now? Is it 2 weeks-ish?
Yeah.
Almost
about
2 weeks, right?
Roughly 2 weeks ago.
And you had your
after
game
Home Story.
against Innovation. Since then, you've been practicing. I mean, have you felt immediate effects from that? Was it kind of a boost? Because I think we mentioned on here it might be a slight advantage that you've been there, especially like the time zone stuff, but more so the practice. What have you felt from being there?
After my match against Innovation, I left the Spenu house, so I didn't get top quality practice versus Protoss, but I played some on Korean ladder and I got some Protoss practice from there. But mostly just going to Korea and meeting up with all the Korean players and being in the team house environment really motivated me.
Yeah.
I was feeling a little bit down, coming from bad result in WCS, and then Home Story Cup went horribly wrong. So I wasn't really feeling the game all that much, and especially with the new CVP not really being that strategically interesting to me.
Yeah.
I was feeling kind of down, but I feel like staying at Spenu and in Korea in general with so many good friends just helps me survive the Onion Protoss.
The Onion Protoss. What is you've obviously played tens of thousands of games in Europe. You played quite a lot in Korea, but not for a while. What was the difference when you felt it over there, the Protoss players over there? Because, I mean, you've got the Lilbo, you've got the Petri Drogo in Europe. Did you feel any big differences between the guys over there, the Terrans, the Zergs, the Protosses in Korea? Is there a big difference? Can you really feel it when you get on the ladder and start playing against these guys?
It's kind of like all the Protosses are the same.
I mean, Onions are pretty much the same.
That's true. I mean, you got to feel them no matter what. They always make you cry.
Right. No disrespect, but there's a lot of varieties. So sometimes the name doesn't matter. Different Protoss players can bring out so much different. So it's mostly in the control, I guess. But in my limited experience on the ladder, I didn't really get to form an identity of the Korean Protosses like that.
So you could have been playing against a Lilbo or somebody while you were over there. Could have kind of felt the same.
Yeah, and there were some cheesers too. I think the skill level of the Protoss players in Korea and Europe when it comes to PvZ, it's not all that different. It's Korean Protosses maybe a little bit more refined in the early game. Yeah. But besides that, I don't think there's a big difference.
I guess Zerg vs. Zerg can kind of be similar too. I don't know if there's a big difference there for you.
Stylistically, Korean Zerg versus Zerg games play out quite differently.
Yeah?
Much more aggressive, I would say.
And then do you really feel it against the Terran players, I guess, the bigger difference, no? Against how good
their mechanics and splits are a little bit better.
Yeah.
But honestly, the Korean server difference is there, but it's mostly that there's more of the high-level players active throughout the day, so it's more convenient as a full-time player or someone who plays a lot to play on the Korean server, whereas in Europe, some of these top-level players might go outside or, they might be sleeping, and then the level is not the same. But so it's just a small difference in the average skill level.
All right. I mean, you're just smiling content. Are you just happy?
Pig does nothing but smile. That's what he's here for.
That's true.
Smile.
Only on camera, though.
I'm just kind of giggling. All my questions are pretty much what we've already talked about. We saw you with that look on your face after the first game, and it's like, is there a sigh of relief? You're just looking like, man, that was so hard to peel that onion. Like we could see it on your face. So, how are you feeling going into the next series? Is that a big confidence boost now, man?
Not really, man. I'm just doing these stupid all-ins. It's not my thing. Like, if I could switch to being a chess pro, I would do it right now. I mean, if I could keep the same friends and the environment and everything, I would just do it right now.
A chess player.
But I mean, all I do is just make drones and make units, and then I start the choo-choo train. It's not very interesting to me. Even Swarmmost, even if it took 50 minutes, it was still more strategically complex,
Yeah.
Fair point.
I got one last question, though. All right, so you can tell us, come on, we're all friends here, we've been friends for a while. When you win 2-0 and you're like, GG comes in, and the camera guy's like there, he's like in the booth, he's like doing this. Is it hard to not keep, from smiling or from laughing? Because I can imagine if I just beat Rain, I mean, maybe because it's so impossible for me to even come close, maybe that's why I would smile. But did you ever have that as a pro gamer when you're in there, like, don't smile, like you bite your tongue or something?
It's just the effects of the onion. It's just so strong, so I cannot smile. It's more like, yeah, the Protoss player made some mistakes, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Well, congratulations once again. You did win 2-0. Couple more onions in your way, but maybe you can finish that gourmet dish by the end. Maybe we'll see you on that final stage on Sunday. We all look forward to your next match in the winner's match, but for now, we're going to take a quick break. Everyone, if you missed the matches, hopefully you did, and hopefully all you fans out there, you stayed up, but if you missed it, feel free to go over to Blaze.tv. You'll be able to catch some of the sweet highlights from Snute taking down Rain 2-0, and we'll be back after this.